Well, thank you for staying with us. Time now for us to dig into the papers. The few that have come. It's the holiday season still, and some of the papers are on a diet. You can feel, yeah. But I'm joined by Samuel Kojo Brace, my partner in good things, everything good. There are only a few things, but I know they're making. Charlie, Happy New Year.
Prosperous 2023 to you, Ben.
First time you're joining me on the AM show in 2023.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. It's good to have you on.
It's full of blessings. I mean, 2023 will be a good year. I hear people say it will be tough. Yeah, but sometimes you say, well, generally it will be tough. But for me, my economy will be so good.
We pray for that. We pray for that exactly. You know, these are times when we have to be optimistic as a people. Sometimes you're faced with a situation, you're in a cul-de-sac, dead end. You're facing a brick wall. But you know that giving up is not an option, because giving up basically means you do nothing.
Exactly. Yeah.
So faced with doing nothing or doing something, even in the face of the worst situation,
You do something.
you do something.
Yeah.
So I'm just hoping that we do that as a people collectively, that we have that mindset that, look, we're in dire straits, we're on the ropes, but let's do something. How many times haven't we seen boxers, pugilists in the boxing ring, beaten a lot, and da-da-da-da. It reminds me actually of one of Muhammad Ali's classics against George Foreman.
Okay.
Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost.
And everything, if I'm not mistaken, was that not the Thriller in
No, the Thriller in Manila was.
or was that Pacquiao?
Oh, no. Pacquiao is just a.
No, there was another, Manila in the Philippines. There was another.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But the Thriller in Manila
Or was that the Rumble? The Rumble in the Jungle. That was the one in Zaire, right?
The Zaire.
The old Zaire
Yeah,
one.
that was the first one you mentioned.
George Foreman?
No. The title of the bout itself.
Thriller in Manila.
Thriller in Manila.
Right.
Or that's different. Okay. I mean, it could be the Rumble in the jungle.
I'm a little. I mean, the history is all in there.
Yeah.
But I think that was when they fought in Zaire. Okay. I've seen videos of that. But the point I want to make is, Foreman was in form. Forget the play on words. Foreman was in form, and he really did damage. But he didn't expect that a certain Muhammad Ali would be that tough and go the entire way and knock him out at the end.
That's
so
I remember Robert Kelly's song, which says that when my backs are against the ropes, tell the world I'm the world's greatest.
Yeah.
Because what I know that when my backs are against the rope, I'll bounce back.
Yeah.
And within the week, I was watching something between Foreman and Evander Holyfield, and Foreman almost defeated Holyfield, but just a blow took Foreman out of the competition, and Holyfield won. So, things may seem not too okay, not too all right. The future looks bleak, but sometimes we have to look at it and say that, well, but things will be all right with me.
we can hope against hope, but there's a but in there. While I want us to be this optimistic, we must also be practical.
Yeah.
In addition to the optimism, because you don't just say, "Oh, you know what? I have faith in God."
Without doing nothing. Even the Bible talks about
It's like James, faith without
that
works.
Yeah.
But that one is a bit, because there's the Pauline faith,
Okay.
and James comes in with faith, but show me your works.
Exactly.
So it's a balance of the two. It's a balance of the two, and that's why I have a problem, and that's why this morning I've couched my first blunt thoughts. Brand new year, but same lame old approach, repeating the sins of 2022.
Okay.
Because already I am seeing some writings on the wall. It's almost as though we never learned anything.
Well, I don't know how we do learn lessons. Sometimes we fail, but we don't learn anything from those lessons. And the same thing comes back to bite us very hard. So yeah, in 2023, I want us as a collective, as a country, to learn from our mistakes, from our sins, and to ensure that we are going forward with renewed strength and different approaches. Because as they say, you don't expect new results when you do the same old things.
Exactly.
You only get new results when you do things in a different way. So that's how this year should be. We should do things differently, and we'll be fine. But I've been reading a book which says that how to live without worries, and I think that the key I pick from it is don't focus too much on your worries. That's on an individual basis. Don't focus too much on your worries. Sometimes, Ben, some people do focus too much on their worries such that they forget the little blessings in their lives. And it's so practical that when you focus on the little blessings you have, for example, you are okay, you're not sick, your children are okay, you are able to eat, you have somewhere to lay your head. These blessings, when you look at them and say, well, I'm grateful for these blessings, I'm thankful to God, and you focus much on them, you see that doors open for you.
Yeah.
Than for you to focus on, oh, I've not eaten, I don't have money in my pocket, my car doesn't have fuel. Just the more
it's like the glass half full or half empty.
Yeah.
It depends on how you look at it. Yeah.
And
so someone will complain, oh, it's half empty. And the other person will say, you know what? It's actually half full.
Yeah.
And indeed, we have a lot to also thank God for. I mean, as a country, looking at what has transpired in the sub-region, it's just that there are some concerns, and it's a little tricky what Mr. President said recently about Burkina Faso. But we have escaped that scathing, terrorist scene. And that is why I always get concerned with what is happening in Boku. Because you remember, Alavanyo Nkonya, we used to have a lot of, for about 2 decades, it's been pretty quiet. I feel we can do something. Boku was also for a while.
Yeah.
And then now it came up. And with all respect to our brothers and sisters there, we are just hoping that in the end, things will normalize. I've heard, interestingly, Kojo, I've heard different things from both sides. The Mampusis and the Kusasis. Renowned people from those groupings, and of course you can expect them to be a little biased, but also academics. And I've also interacted with members of that community, and trust me, some of the things that it's just opened my eyes to the real undercurrents, the problems in there, chieftaincy and all of that. I just feel there's no so intractable problem or whatever in this world that can't be. Even I feel Israel, Palestine, at some point, it's one of the most intractable conflicts in the world. At some point, we would have resolution. But anyway,
I think the willingness to say, well, for peace and unity, I give up. It's not something that we do so well in this part of our country, and that's why you see these issues, especially with chieftaincy. Go and do detailed analysis of these chieftaincy issues, and you would see that, well, it's something we could have said, well, for peace and tranquility, let it go.
Let it go.
You be on the throne. When you leave, my side will come, but we will protract it, we'll fight, people will die, and the seat will be there. This brings to mind Second D. Second D has been without a paramount chief for close to 20, if not more than. Because
disputes there as well.
Yes, and it's within the same family. And so sometimes I wish that in 2023 would find beautiful ways of handling our disagreement.
Is it that we are simply missing the plot? Because chieftaincy, even pre-independence, had its real role, way pre-independence. You get it?
Yeah.
Things changed a bit when the colonialists, the imperialists came on the continent, different from the Portuguese to the British. And then the British came with their own system, and of course the chiefs had their own roles to play, a subservient role. Then we had independence, and sometimes there was friction between Nkrumah and the chiefs. You know about some of them where they were leaning and the politics of it. Eventually we would have constitutions that would talk about chiefs not dabbling in politics and all of that, though we still see it. But I look at the institution and wonder, from north all the way down south, our country is riddled with chieftaincy disputes from here, Gamami, the Manche. I mean, I don't need to go there. We already know the issue. All the way up north, there are disputes everywhere. I don't know what the House of Chiefs maybe can do in that respect.
The little knowledge I have of it is, the politics is everywhere. That's what we need to understand. Politics is everywhere. Our workplaces and the House of Chiefs, there are politics there. There are groupings.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. And so if a group says that, well,
Even in choosing the head, we often hear of the president of the National House of Chiefs. We often hear of, politics from this end or that end at play. And I mean, party politics.
They are all involved. That's why I said that. Now party politics has even entered chieftaincy. It has. I mean, the reality is that partisan politics has entered chieftaincy, whether we like it or not. We need to be frank about it, and that's why we are facing these challenges. Party A would want to have a chief that belongs to its side. Party B would want to have a chief that belongs to its side. The reality is that there are chiefs that are, aligned to Party A and Party B. So during Party A's tenure, you realize that there are chiefs that become prominent. And during
very important point you're making.
Yeah. And during Party B's time, there are chiefs that become prominent.
And when Party A is in power, those who align to Party B will be in the shadows.
Exactly.
And maybe throw sucker punches every now and then. When Party B is in power, then you see them. It's a very important point.
Yeah. So that is why what we see happening is happening. Politics entered into Student Front and broke it. You and I know that the Student Front is not as strong as it used to be.
As vibrant as it used to be.
And so they have also targeted the chieftaincy and they have been successful.
How about religion? It's in there too.
Well.
As for that one. Yesterday I saw another image of someone who was ferocious, back in the day. I don't want to mention against which party. And the question was, is this person still in the country? Because the person is still alive. And you see all of those happen, whether NDC is in power or NPP is in power. Some will be critical when the NDC is in power, go quiet when the NPP is in power. Some will be critical when the NPP is in power, go quiet when the NDC is in power.
Yeah.
If we keep up like this...
So that's it. So 2023, let us adopt a different strategy.
Yeah.
If there is a chieftaincy vacancy somewhere, the family should have... the processes for electing chiefs.
Right.
Go ahead and do it so that we can spare this country the whole hula baloo of these noise about conflict here and then. We spend too much money in resolving conflict that could have been resolved with us.
I would say, and I am proposing, I'm just proffering this, that I think probably one of the best legacies this administration could leave Ghanaians with. It cannot resolve all the chieftaincy disputes, but there are major ones, like Boku. Boku seemed to have been resolved a long time ago. Obviously, it hasn't. The sparks still fly. If some of the major chieftaincy disputes we have, 1 to 10, could be resolved before or by the end of 2024, I think that would bode very well for our country, for the peace of our country, the stability of our country, and the economy of our country, because you can't have any development when there is strife.
I pray it happens. The minister for that area is my MP.
I see.
Yes, lawyer Benjamin Akakpo is my MP.
I see.
He's not been well for some time, but he's okay now. That even this weekend,
we've all known that he's
having a Thanksgiving service.
We bless the Lord.
His demeanor should help him do it. He's a very calm person. He's not a person that will harm even a fly. So I'm sure that he can use that. Just as they settled the one with Yendi, right? That's where the Yana is a solid way to handle the issue. They should use that same approach and deal with the major ones. Like I said, Sekendi has been without a paramount chief for 20 years. That's too long. If they can resolve Boko, it would help.
All those must be resolved. Right before we get into the paper, so I actually had to check this on Google to get it right. I don't know why my mind was going to Manila, but I did mention Rumble in the Jungle. That was it. Muhammad Ali,
Zaire.
George Foreman in the former Zaire, October 30, 1974. And I just remembered something when I saw the flyer. Back then they were doing 15 rounds. 15 rounds. You notice that it was in the latter stages that Foreman started tiring out. And that was when
Muhammad Ali
got him.
Yeah.
But I was looking at the live stream. There's a comment that came through saying they should reduce cement prices, please. That's... So you remember cement hit about 100 cedis?
Yeah, it was, I think, when I asked last December, It was 90, I think 90 and 95 or so. I've forgotten, but it's in the 90s.
Are you putting up a factory?
Oh, no. I mean, some...
Let's get into the papers.
But it will be a blessing to put up a factory anyway.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
In future, maybe.
Maybe a rice factory, now that we are targeting
I'm into the
massive rice production.
I'm into the local rice thing. I'm on the value chain. I distribute local rice. So maybe in future, why not? If God blesses me enough, and I put up...
But have your own mill and all of that.
No, why not? It will be fantastic. Well, let's start with the daily graphic. Curbing the spread, HIV self-test kit on doorstep, 33,000 cases third quarter last year. Wow. Nungwa interchange shoot up in Skyline. Okay. I'm a testimony to this particular one. Akunta mining not absorbed from illegal mining activities. That's according to John Jenapo. Now, let me bring you a bit of details on the HIV self-test kit. It says, from March this year, HIV self-test kit will be available at pharmacies and health facilities across the country to purchase to enable people to self-test to know their HIV status. The program manager of the National STIs and HIV/AIDS Control Program, HIV and AIDS Control Program, Dr. Stephen Ayisi Addo, who disclosed this to the Daily Graphic in Accra last Tuesday, said the introduction of the self-test kit meant that HIV testing could now be done on the doorstep of people at any space they consider to be private and confidential. Wow, that's a good development there. So that today, man, you can stay wherever, even in your car, and test to know your status. So it's a good thing. I pray that when it comes, we would all accept it and help eliminate or reduce HIV and AIDS in the country to the barest minimum. Now,
the numbers have really shot up in recent times. For which reason the AIDS Commission and others have had to come and speak about it. And the worry also is partly because a lot of people don't know their status, yet they're engaging in all kinds of activity, without knowing their status. And that is problematic because then anyone could be infected and then it just continues. And you know what this means on our health infrastructure, which is shaky at best, and what that would also mean to the economy. An ailing economy or an ailing population would, necessarily result in an ailing economy.
Yeah, that's when you calculate the man hours lost due to illness,
Exactly.
Exactly. And that's what the mines and the oil companies do so well, when they calculate the impact of people who are ill on their operations. So sometimes you go to a company and they will say, oh, for this quarter, we've been without no injuries, because they know how much it means to them. But the entire economy, we've not been doing that. But like you mentioned, when you're active workforce,
labor, right?
And
that's what HIV targets as well. I mean, it is those in that same age category.
So let me bring a bit of statistics. It says that for the first half of last year, almost 24,000 new infections were recorded. Now, as at the end of the third quarter of the last year, we had identified 33,870 people positive for HIV. This is to tell you that HIV is still real and we need to continue the battle and the war in the media for the public to know that they need to do something about it, especially young people, Dr. Isiado said. Now, quoting the HIV and AIDS Sentinel survey, the NACP National Program Manager said, in 2020, the prevalence of the disease among 15 to 24-year-olds was 1.1%. And that increased to 1.5% in 2021, which meant that they were having increases in young population due to ignorance and complacency. So that's
exactly what I was talking about.
Yeah, we need to target. But let me bring something on the Akunta mining thing. I think it's been...
And I would like to know what your take is on... Of course, we've heard from Lands and Natural Resources Minister Samuel Abu-Jinapor. I am personally not too convinced about the explanation he gave in response to what Dr. Ken Ashigbe had asked. And it's all about the optics and that coming from the president. I feel it could have come from maybe the Lands and Natural Resources Minister pending the OSP's final investigative work. But especially because of the past, comments from the past by the executive, the Australian visa issue, the Gold Coast situation, the Charles Bissue issue, I felt it should have been, left to be. Because then you would have the Vitus Azims, as I spoke to him yesterday, read between the lines and find out whether there is no tacit. You get it? Because sometimes, I mean, especially in Africa, a leader says something and it's basically telling you, you know what, you in this position, the decision you're about to make. I feel it was needless.
Yeah.
That is me.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're thinking.
No. I think the reason why the president spoke about it was that the chairman of that occasion, Dr. Ken Ashibe, when I spoke to him, said he had used that occasion to demand from the president what is being done about that thing. And the president, at the end of his speech, thought that, well, if I don't respond to Dr. Ken Ashibe, it will be sort of say I've disrespected him. So I said, okay. At the time we are speaking, Akwanta mining was not working, but it doesn't mean that Akwanta mining.
But on a more serious note, if you look at how it is couched, and I'll be talking about it in my blunt thoughts today. If you look at how it is couched, is there no way he could have gone about it without? Let me ask you this: how many of us do not know that is the situation? That Akwanta mining has not been mining in that enclave since late last year.
Just.
No, but how many don't know? Because following that, we had reports come through, which we actually put out. That look, so in that Nimre Forest area, no longer working. We even went further, and those in Samre Boy had their say. Even recently, the youth there had their say again. So technically. The president, by saying that, was he telling us anything new, or was he trying to?
Oh, no, he was not. There was nothing new.
So that's the point.
But I'm saying that when he was responding to Dr. Ken Ashibe at that event, because there is nothing new to it, he sort of to tell the man that, whereas at the time we are speaking, he's not mining.
Ken, who already knows that.
But he asked for a feedback, and the president didn't have the latest, so he had to. But I'm saying that it's good we now know that it doesn't absolve him of his wrongdoing. Because once he's entered into a forest when he had not been given permission, because as the youth were speaking about it, the notice for publication of his application was done in September 2022. And when the notice is given, it doesn't mean you've been given permit to go in there. So he engaged in an illegality, and that's a matter that the OSP is dealing with. So we're going to leave it to him. But it's interesting. The youth say that they don't want him in there again. So let's see how that particular one goes. But after 2 years of non-stop work, a 3-tier interchange is now visible in the skyline of Nungwa Barrier as part of the Accra Tema Beach Road project. The Beach Road project, which begins at the independent arch of the Black Star Square in Accra through Osu, La, and Teshi to Nungwa, involves the remodeling of the single carriageway into a dual carriageway, the construction of a bridge at the A-Life junction at Nungwa, and the construction of a fresh 3-tier interchange at Nungwa Barrier, which is already rising into the skies. The scope of work also includes a 2-way 4-lane urban road, a traffic signal system, and related auxiliary works. The consultant Bon Aqua told the Daily Graphic yesterday that work on the interchange was 78% complete. And Ben, when you get there, it's beautiful. I mean, the thing is that when you get to that area and you see what is coming, you're like, oh, and when they are done, it will really ease, because that place is a lot congested. Yeah. So if they finish, and I always say that the contractor working on that project should be commended. The way he is doing it, that's a very long distance from the independent arch all the way to Nungwa area. And the way it's
been going on for quite a while. And when you're using the stretch, sometimes the traffic and all of that. But when it's done, it's going to be
the way
very,
he
very
blocks
positive.
portions of it. That's the portion.
No, but that's how it's supposed to be done.
Oh,
you can't just block and
I just love him.
I
don't know who the contractor is, but I think that the work they're doing is incredible, and we need to commend them.
And as we salute the contractors, we should also ensure that they get paid.
Yeah, that's that.
Last year, I think some 800 and something, or was it 600 and something million got paid to them at the tail end of the year. I remember front page, Daily Graphic, and all of that. But you speak to them. In fact, recently I spoke to one of them, and it's a drop in the bucket. It's a pittance. There are so many of them who contracted loans from banks, and now look at the interest rates. So you can imagine where some of them are. You took a loan from a bank. Now the interest rate has shot up because the policy rate has also shot up. and you've not got the funds
Yeah.
you require to complete the project, maybe the project has stalled, maybe part of what you've done has already been eroded by rain and all of that, you'll probably have to do it again.
Yeah.
There's no funding. Charlie, it's a very tricky place
I
to
know
be.
contractors, I know some of them, and they do, it's not easy. Because look, the fuel you would even use in your operation, it's huge. There's this popular contractor in the Western Union called Asabia, and sometimes he will tell you that, look, this work I've done, they have not even paid me for that work. So if you sort of want to insult me, I would also insult you back, because I'm feeling the pinch of what's happening. So sometimes it's quite frustrating. But I think this work falls in under the Chinese 3 billion loan.
The Sino-Hydro loan.
Yeah, I think so. So
the Sino-Hydro facility, I should say.
I think that, and then the Takrady interchange. I think these facilities. So theirs is a direct payment for her. So I think for them, that's why the work rate is like that. Because when you go to Takrady as well, you can see that it's also up in the skyline. It's beautiful. So I think that's why these two places, the work is really progressing. If we're about to end, we would have to talk about something that is happening in government.
We're not ending yet, but you go ahead.
Okay. Ben, we know that Alan Kwadwo Kyerematen.
Oh, you mean Alan Cash?
Yes, who's the Minister for Trade and Industry, who wants to become the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party for the 2024 elections, tendered in his resignation yesterday.
Oh.
But whether it's been accepted or not, that I cannot say. But what we do know now is that he tendered in his resignation to the old man yesterday to clear the way
to Mr. President.
To Mr. President. Well, sometimes I hear the people say old man, so okay, I'm sorry. To Mr. President. That he wants to, stay out of government so he can concentrate on his ambition to lead the party.
Oh, sir.
Yeah. So that is what is happening now. So don't be surprised to hear today that the president has accepted.
But the president hasn't accepted.
He hasn't. No, we don't know of that yet. Whether he even accepted this dawn, or this early morning, or he will accept later, or he will say no. But of course, I'm not sure the president will say no, because you know that people were, earlier he had said that if you want to, lead a party, you cannot do politics in my government. So let's see. It's interesting. We would see how this one.
So it would be interesting if he didn't accept it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because you have said that.
Because you made it clear.
Exactly. So if now the people want to step out of government, then you have no choice than to accept their resignation. But if that happens, then the question people will ask is, what then happens to other people in government who want to lead? Interesting development coming up.
I tried to say something.
I'm not. I'm only asking a question. That now we know that Alan Kwadwo Kyerematen is resigning. He has indeed indicated his intention to resign. It's now left to the president to accept or reject it. But it's easier for you to know that the president may be accepting that resignation. But then it would lead to people asking that, what of people who are still in government? Interesting days ahead.
Why do I recall Obrafo's Asembe Badebi Bema Bema Tiha Wulimu? Anyway, let's get into. Are you done with the Daily Graphic?
Yeah, I think these are the stories that.
Okay.
Because when people know that the Lungwa interchange is coming up, we've spoken about contact mining. I think. Yeah.
Is there anything in sports? Especially as we're focusing on sports today.
Okay. So in football or sport, it's unfortunate that when we talk about sports,
it's either boxing or football, right?
Anyway, Adamos Resources Partners Swag Awards. That is what is there. I think that's basically what is in sports there. And then we also hear, no, that's it. That's in sports.
Okay. Awards, yeah. Something just came to mind. In Cuba, they've not allowed women to box in a long while.
Oh, okay.
And even boxing as an Olympic sport for women, I think it's only recently that they started accepting it. But now Cuba has started. It used to be just a few years ago, I think, I don't know whether it's the United States or some other country that knocked them off their perch. But it used to be the country with the highest number of golds gold medals in Olympic boxing. Cuba is known for boxing. Wow. You've not really taken notice, huh?
No.
They've beaten some of our guys in the past.
Oh, okay.
Just as we've also fared well. But now they're allowing women to box. And
in Ghana, I hear of a beautiful story about this young lady who wants to, change the narrative of becoming a boxer.
Oh, the 11-year-old.
Yes.
Is it not?
Yes.
Is it Najat or something?
I think that the name.
Najat or Najat or something. I was so enthused when I saw her. I was so happy.
Yeah.
And I watched this bout where she was with a person taller and everything. Charlie on Tijayo.
That's a fact.
She reminds me in a way of Tyson. Short like the he will give you right now.
But Tyson didn't make watching boxing interesting. Because for him, when he comes, he wants to end it.
I say there was this bout in first round, Charlie. People were coming in. Tyson at first.
Yeah, I remember. It was 23 seconds. The bout ended in 23 seconds. Yeah, I remember that bout.
Tyson was vicious.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get into the Ghanaian Times newspaper now. 47 foreign nationals repatriated for engaging in illegal QNet. That is according to the national security bit. Let's deepen church-state relationship. That's according to President Akufo-Addo. Ghana poised to request debt relief via G20 common framework. We've been told in recent times that the IMF has been engaging the Paris Club to get us some concessions as far as our debts are concerned. On the back page, minority leader hands over maternity ward to Nyohine Health Center. And this reminds me, in my blunt thoughts today, I'll be bringing in a bit about what you did. It was in the Western region, right?
The road.
The roads.
Yes.
Do you know what got me?
No.
Do you know what got me?
No.
Which I'm going to be talking about.
The ambulance?
The ambulance. So an ambulance, under normal circumstances, is supposed to move at a certain speed.
Yes.
Imagine having an emergency in which maybe in some 30 minutes, 20 minutes, maybe it's even a snake bite, you need anti-venom or something, you will die.
No, the person cannot make it.
On that road.
Yeah. If God does not intervene,
you will die.
You cannot make it. No. It's so terrible. Very, very, look, and it's people should go there. From Bodie all the way through to Asankragwa. It's terrible.
And these, interestingly, are communities producing cocoa for us.
Yes. They are one of the leading areas in cocoa production, if not the leader. And so the people cannot understand why their roads are left to deteriorate to that level. And then when I traveled on that road, I was like, if I had known, I would not have brought my car here. But it's also good that I sent my car because
you had the experience.
Exactly. So nobody can tell me that you have not been there. This one, I drove on it. I experienced it. You cannot maintain 30 kilometers per hour for even 5 minutes on that road. 5 minutes is even just once. The rest, 30 seconds, you fall into a so bad. Such a, and they tell me that from Asankragwa to Bodia is even worse, to Samrabwa is even worse. So something should change, really. The way we treat this country. Sometimes I ask, where is our plan to develop this country? Where is the plan we are working with? Because it looks like we don't have a plan. We
have the National Development Planning
Where is it? Where is it? I mean, they are there, but really, have they given? You remember?
Or are you saying our plans are on paper, but they are never implemented?
That's our problem. We have fantastic.
Which brings to mind, we were told some time back about. Was it the area with the lagoon that we would
call it?
We would drench it
and make it a marine.
And we would have hotels what happened to that?
Nothing has happened.
Charlie, the way the technical guy described it that day,
look,
this country,
sometimes people should leave probably, say Accra, and go to the hinterland. Even Accra, you see worse things. Like you're saying,
go to the south.
The marine
go to
thing
the east.
Is
sometimes you don't have to go far. Right here in Accra, you'll be shocked.
Charlie. And so I was saying, if government and the Cocoa Road too is there, why aren't we using the Cocoa Road to construct the border to Asankragwa Road? Because people will die on that road. People will die if they have to be transported from border to Asankragwa or from Asankragwa to border. Or to Bogos or Ntakwa. They will. So really, something should change about that area. The road is so bad. And I've seen that the Lands Ministry and GAF vowed to deepen galamsey fight. Ben, I went to an area where I went to do that boy story, where the boy was using champagne to produce power in Jantwa Chrome.
Yeah.
Look, from I mean, about 30 or 40 minutes to the town, beside the road, everywhere has been mined. And the place is so deep that I don't know which military person who can like will.
It's like a gully. It's a gully.
You cannot frequent the place. So sometimes I sit back and I'm like, should we change our strategy to probably have the buy-in of the people for them to know that what you're doing?
Well, we are saying we're tweaking the strategy in the fight against galamsey, like we've been told. But whether that strategy will work, because we've tried strategy upon strategy, and I think, you see, yes, there's the buy-in of the community. Where was it that Reverend Father, we spoke to a Reverend Doctor yesterday, Catholic priest, and he made mention he has done a lot of research in galamsey, and he's an anti-galamsey campaigner. And he mentioned this community where the people had vowed, community members, chiefs, everything, no galamsey in this area. We are not going to tolerate it and all of that. That buy-in is needed. But I also say, just as you can't go to Singapore and be spitting around because it's forbidden by law and you could get arrested, sometimes it's about the law's implementation. Singapore did not become what it did overnight. It was just as we are. There was a change in mind shift, but that change came about because there were laws that said, henceforth, you can't do this anymore.
I think it's true.
And then the generation that came after, all they came and met was that. So they became accustomed to it. And the thinking of the previous generation was wiped out.
A friend was telling
30
me
years,
about,
one generation.
A friend was telling me about what happened in Rwanda when he was there. He took a taxi and the police stopped a driver, asked a lot of questions, and then he went. And then when they were talking, the driver said he dares not give any bribe to the police because when he does, both of them will be arrested. They will go to jail. The police will come back. He will not be out of. He will be out of work. So he won't dare give any bribe to the police. The police won't dare take anything from he, the driver. So I think it's about the implementation of the law that brings about change. So let's see. I've heard the minister say that a court has given a hefty sentence to some illegal miners. Let's see what that happens. But can we see more effective implementation of the law governing small-scale mining in the country? That probably will do the magic. Because like I said, when I went to that community, I asked myself, will the president really know what's happening here? Will the military know? Because as of 9:30, 10 p.m., these guys were on site mining. And I said, well, the military commander may be sleeping, but these guys are here working. It's difficult. So we should find ways of getting people to be afraid of venturing into that arena so we can save our environment. Because look, what is happening is serious. That they have mined both sides of the roads, and I don't know what can happen to bring it back unless we probably engage in some recovery.
And talking about systems that work, just to bring this up, U.S. coach Berhalter asked to step aside, being investigated for kicking wife in 1991.
Whoa.
They've been married for about 25 years. You can call it youthful, whatever, though it is something absolutely wrong. But he did this once. 1991. Even before our constitution came into force, it is being brought back retrospectively. It's haunting him. And he's been asked to step aside as investigations continue.
It won't happen here. So
Thank you.
Maybe we should start thinking along those lines.
So on the bit about the G20 Common Framework, Ghana is set to request a debt relief via the G20 Common Framework Program to ensure debt and macroeconomic sustainability. Reuters has reported the Common Framework process set up by the Group of 20 leading economies in 2020 was in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Of course, we'll also need that for some debt sustainability. And then, page 13, 47 foreign nationals repatriated for engaging in illegal QNet. And the National Security says the foreigners at the center of the blame game between the Ghana Police Service and Ghana Immigration Service are not missing, but have been repatriated to their respective countries since September last year. It clarified that there were 47 African nationals who were arrested for allegedly engaging in illegal network marketing in the Ashanti region and not 48 alleged terrorists. That's it for the Ghanaian Times newspaper.
Okay, now just to wrap with the Daily Guide, IMF international creditors discuss Ghana's debt.
Right.
I'm sure it's in relation to the G20, as you mentioned. It says that the International Monetary Fund is taking giant steps to have debt of Ghana, along with 5 other countries, cancelled. Okay, so that's basically, as you mentioned, the G20. So let's see how that goes. Also, comply with 15% fee increment. Minister direct varsities, and your people have been pointed out that you are doing what your increment is more than the necessary, the approved one. So
that matter has been resolved.
Really?
Yes, it has.
Okay. Thank you.
But your school has also increased it. I don't know why you're trying to throw any punches.
No, but my school obeyed. It complied with a 15% increment. We didn't go beyond it.
The university administration said it had not gone beyond the required.
But the minister says,
I know the minister has come, but I'm reporting to you what the university's administration came in. Did you listen to Professor Awandare? Did you listen?
I even spoke to him. But if you go and take your wife's fish from the soup, and your wife asks you, Ben, will you say that I took that fish?
But my wife's fish is my fish.
No, I'm just saying that if you took it, and she didn't see it, then she's asking you, will you say, yes, I took it? You probably say, I have not seen it. So really.
Anyway.
Until God comes to say that I saw you, you did it. Now the minister says that, no, you've done it, you've gone beyond 30%, so come back. I mean, I'm not the one saying it.
Anyway, we're running off now. Lovely shirt. Mine is by Sewa Abankwa, and she put this lovely piece out there for me around Club 100 in Kanda. Sewa Abankwa, thank you so much for this lovely outfit.
Okay. And mine is from my usual guy at Dansoman.
Okay, you know, I thought as much.
Yeah.
Fantastic work as always.
That's a good guy, you know. But my brother Valentine Akwa is watching us from Seshibia West. He says good morning to us. So yeah.
Good morning to you too, bro. On that note, we'll be serving you sports, but mind you, right after that, I'll be sharing with you my blunt thoughts. Brand new year, but same lame old approach, repeating the sins of 2022. Sports up next.